We're going to talk about the election. You ready? This is the Lawyer Dana Show.
So what I was just going to say is when I'm looking at everything and just kind of where people's kind of temperature is, like I'd be very surprised if one, Donald Trump loses, or two, if he barely wins this, because like it seems to me a lot of people want to change.
Well, I think he won in 2020, but for the you-know-what. I don't want to get a strike on our channel, which is probably going to happen
Well, we have
anyway.
to be careful, but I understand like everybody has their opinion.
And just look, my opinion, just my opinion,
Yeah.
not fact. I'm not stating that as fact.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion.
In my area where I live, I've actually gotten text messages that you need to check your ballot, that you are probably like the ballots are being changed.
Okay. Tell me in detail what information you got and what stories that you have heard. What are the allegations?
So I've heard a couple of things. So one, in my town, I live in Sunnyvale, put it out there. So I got a text message. We voted on Saturday morning. And I did look at my ballot before I put it in the box, in the machine. But it did stay, we got a text on Sunday that said, make sure you're checking your ballots. We have been notified by multiple voters that who they voted for was not the person that was selected on their ballot. And before you insert it into the box or the machine, you need to make sure you're checking it, because if it's wrong, they will have you redo it. So
I have seen quite a few reports of things like that, and I've seen that even come out of swing states.
Mm-hmm.
And these allegations, allegedly, these allegations,
mm-hmm.
they're coming out of a lot of different places from actual people at the actual polls.
Right.
And I have yet to vote, but I intend to vote possibly today, if not tomorrow. I'm definitely going to vote by the end of the day tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we're recording this. It is Monday, October 28th at 1:40 in the afternoon. So
my daughter-in-law, okay, so her friend went to vote. Like, I guess after she voted, I'm not sure about this part, but she said that she was able to go online and they saw where whoever they voted for was not who they voted for. So I don't know if there's a way to check that.
You can see who you voted for?
That's what they were saying. Now, again, I don't know if she
I thought it was that she got the print off.
That is what our town is saying. Our town is stating that you better check your ballots, because they have been told by numerous people who have voted that when they got it prints off, that when they printed it off and they looked at it, it had, if they voted for Trump, it had Kamala Harris listed.
Right.
And they had to say something to the person before they stuck it in the machine. Hey, that's not who I voted for. Now, me and Daniel both checked ours. Ours both stated who we voted for, and all mine was correct.
I have personally had the experience of hitting the button for a candidate and the screen being miscalibrated to where it picked the candidate like above or below. Mm-hmm. I have had that happen on a voting machine before. Mm-hmm. But I know that you have to look at your ballot. So whenever you vote, hopefully your machine makes a print off, because the print off can be manually validated. Now, then you think you voted for somebody, and then you see it on the paper, and you're like, those are the names that are printed on the paper. Then hopefully they can come back and audit and count those and see what's on the paper, and that paper matches the actual count. But what I'm concerned about is
what the machine's doing.
Right. So what is the machine doing internally? Because they have the name, and then there's a code, like a barcode that's above that on the paper ballot that's actually read. How do you know those two are matching? Mm-hmm. Because if you don't then go back and count and verify that those are, the counts on the actual paper match what the computer is reporting. If you're not going in and verifying that, then you're not validating the election with the paper ballots.
Right. I will give our town a shout out, though. There was a man trying to speak to another voter, and they're like, no, sir, you cannot speak to the other voter. They made us turn our cell phone off before we went in there. Like, they were all about the rules. Like, I was very impressed with the procedures and how they had everything set up. Like, they were like, before you enter, you have to make sure your cell phone's completely turned off. You went in, gave your driver's license, they checked everything, they
Cool.
had you pick a ballot, they gave you a stylus, got you to the machine, you put it in and do your thing, and then when you were done, you brought it up to them, they put it in the machine, and then they were like, okay, watch, this number's going to change. Once that number goes up, that means that yours has been entered. So they made you stay there and wait for that number to go up before you left. So they were very much by the book.
Good. So I just hope that when that process is actually happening, that they're actually counting the votes.
Oh, I do
That's
too.
my concern.
I do too, because I think it needs to be fair and it needs to be correct. And we all know that there's stuff going on. I mean,
Yeah. There has been in many elections.
it's the mail-in ballots is my concern.
Well, mail-in ballots are always a concern.
Yeah.
There was a study done, and it was basically the conclusion. I believe it was Bill Gates that did the study. And the conclusion of that study was you must not have mail-in ballots.
Oh, yeah.
Because mail-in ballots are subject to fraud. I used to deliver phone books, and whenever we would deliver the phone books, people would just dump them at the mail boxes. You were supposed to bring them to everybody, and I would always bring them to everybody's door and at least put them there. But a lot of the people they'd just be stacks. If you wanted one, you would grab one from when you picked up your mail. And you always see on junk mail day, the trash cans just stuffed full, overflowing.
Right.
Well, what would you see with mail-in ballots? They were sending ballots out to everybody, all kinds of people. And at these apartment complexes, they'd just be filling up the trash. So what do? You go, and if you wanted to cheat, you could just take all those ballots and, you can vote 10 times with mail-in ballots that were just thrown in the trash. They're just not secure.
No.
And so do we have evidence of that stuff happening? Well, that's for a whole nother podcast.
Right.
All I'm talking about here is I just don't want there to be any shenanigans.
Right.
I have to choose my words carefully about
Right.
that. And these are just my opinion.
Yeah.
I would just like to see a fair election,
Yep.
a true election. Because if I believe that and my candidate lost, oh well, they lost. Big deal. No matter what, whatever.
Right.
But me looking and seeing a lot of what I saw is a problem. So that brings me to an announcement. This year, the Lawyer Dana podcast, we are going to live broadcast the night of the election. We're going to go well into the night. I may pull an all-nighter. 4 years
I might be
ago.
asleep on the table.
Well, yeah, but we'll have different people come in. It might just be me, and you might see what kind of Superman that I am. If I have a case and I have to stay up all night to prepare or whatever, then it's not a big deal for me. So it's based on what happens, right?
Right.
And if one of the candidates calls and concedes and does something like that, then we might call it a night. Shortly thereafter, we'll see. But we are going to broadcast. We're going to go live and we're going to go late. So we hope that you will support us and join us, because we're going to be putting a lot of content. We're going to be having a lot of different special guests that we're going to at least invite. Maybe they're going to come by, maybe they won't, but we'll have a few, and we're going to be showing you the maps, showing you the results, and we're going to be probably
talking about the states and where they're at.
Yep.
What's happening.
And we're going to start doing previews of that from now until then, and we're going to use this election as the reason to leverage us out of our fear zone to actually going more live on our podcast.
Well, and if you're American and you have registered to vote, and I hope you did, go vote, because your vote matters. Don't even sit there and go, well, my state's Democrat and it's not going to go anywhere, or my state's Republican and my vote doesn't matter. Don't think like that, because your vote does matter, and that is your job as an American.
You should definitely make it
vote.
happen.
And vote on your beliefs, please. Like look at all the subjects and like use your moral compass and vote on that.
Please help America be America.
Yes.
Please help America be a great country. Please, let's stop babies in the womb. Please.
Well, and be knowledgeable, because here's the thing, and I have to say this. Oh my gosh, I have to say this. I had someone on my Facebook, and they're a friend of mine on Facebook. I've known them for a long time, and nothing against them, okay? But they didn't have knowledge. They were sitting there arguing with someone that 9-month abortions don't happen. They do happen, and they happen in several states. I think it's 9 states that allow that. And if you don't believe that, call one of those states that has one of those clinics and ask them the questions. Ask them the questions on what they do to those children before they're born. And when you hear what happens, let that sit in and resonate, and ask yourself, you can live with yourself hearing that.
And the other thing that is, don't be a one-issue voter either.
Yeah.
Because immigration's a big deal. And now Kamala Harris is saying she wants to build the wall. And remember a few years ago when $5 billion, oh, that's such a waste and whatever. But $180 billion to Ukraine, oh, no problem. No, whatever. That's right. No amount of money for that's not even our country. And the reason why that war is in existence, now, again, just my opinion, but I saw Kamala Harris go to NATO and say that they are going to have Ukraine be a part of NATO, which means that we can put a nuclear warhead 20 minutes away from Moscow. And Vladimir Putin said, that's the line. That's not going to happen. It's as if Russia was trying to put nuclear weapons in Cuba. We didn't allow that to happen.
No.
So can you blame them?
No.
And we had a treaty that the United States and Kamala Harris went to Europe and said, we're going to violate the treaty because we're going to have Ukraine be a part of NATO. You cannot do that. That was a treaty. That's why that war happened. Yeah. It's exactly Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's fault. That war was caused by that statement.
Well, Trump has made it very clear he doesn't want to go to war. He doesn't. He wants to end that. He doesn't.
Correct.
Let's work through this. Let's talk through things. Let's figure this out. And my fear with Kamala is that she's a female. And I have nothing against a female president at all. Like, I support a female president.
Not that one.
My concern is she's going to get in there and she wants to show she's big, bad, and tough, and we're in war. I'm concerned about that. That's a fear. I don't think we need that. I also have a concern with when it goes to immigration. Like, Dennis Quaid actually had like a I listened to him. He was pretty amazing.
Did you see him in the Reagan movie?
I haven't yet.
It's a great movie. It was really well done.
He has a housekeeper that works for him, and she was illegal, and like she was freaking out. And this was like, she was freaking out about Trump. She's like, oh, he's gonna deport me. He's gonna do all these things to me. Oh my gosh, she was all scared. And he literally sat her down and was like, no, like he wants you to do it the right way, and I'm gonna help you do it the right way. And like now he was talking about how she got her green card, and then she was able to she's like working towards her citizenship now. And he was like talking about like people have such misconceptions of what he's trying to do. They think it's all bad. No, what he's trying to do, and truly what I think needs to happen is he's trying to keep the bad people out of our freaking country that don't need to be in our country, that want to do bad things to children.
13,000
that want to sex traffic children.
Yeah.
If you don't know what sex trafficking is or you've never been a part of it, I have. I've been a volunteer for Poema, and you go to those motels and you are looking for these kids that are missing, that are 14 years old, 13 years old, and come to find out you've got some evil person got them locked up in a hotel room doing God what we don't want to know. And that stuff goes on right here in the United States. It happens in Mesquite. It happens in all these Box Springs. I have been to the most cruddiest motels, taking flyers, passing them around, and we have gotten leads on kids that are in those things. And it's sickening.
Did you see the most recent Rambo movie?
I did. Yes. That's what happens. That stuff happens all the time.
It's extremely sad. It's a problem.
And what happens, and a lot of times there are kids that run away. Mm-hmm. They do. They run away. But then they get mixed up with someone who is promising them the world. But they're not really promising them the world.
Yeah.
They're evil. And they're doing evil things to them. And then they're stuck and they don't know how to get out of it. And it's horrible. But this stuff happens. And I've done a lot of volunteering. Saturday mornings passing out posters and passing out flyers, and then you get a call and you get a lead, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's horrible, but it's happening in the United States. It's happening, and a lot of times the men that are doing it, they're not from the United States. They're illegal, and it's sickening.
Again, I have no problem with legal immigration.
No, I don't either.
That's not the issue. You got a lot of good people that have applied.
Oh, yeah.
And you're allowing illegals to skip the line and not go through the process.
Right.
We don't know who they are.
Right.
And I completely believe Donald Trump when he says that they are emptying the prisons in other countries. I mean, you can look at the statistics. The statistics don't lie.
Right.
And so it would be foolish for other countries to not send them to another country that stupidly would take, hey, send us all your bad people. Just let them flood in. And then the president and vice president promise benefits to them.
Well, think about us as United States citizens. We can't go into another country unless we have a passport.
Right.
I mean, it's the same thing. So why is it that we have to have a passport to enter another country, but someone else can just sneak in here? And it's like let's hold some ramifications here to these other people. Like, they need to be held accountable.
Yeah.
You know, I get it. I get, like, countries like Mexico, and there's the cartel, and there's some bad things that go on. I understand that. I can totally understand trying to escape that. I get it. I can understand wanting a better life for your family. Totally understand it. But there has to be the processes. Unfortunately, you have to go through the system. You know, I've known people that have been illegal in the United States. I worked in the restaurant industry. What do you think? There was times where I worked where half my kitchen was illegal. And I loved them. I loved them with all my heart. I cared about them. They were good people. But the sad thing is that you have the bad that overshadow the good, you know? And unfortunately, I mean, I agree that we need systems in place. And there's that one movie, I can't remember it. It's the Angel Network made it. It's a true story.
With Jim Caviezel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and he... The person I can't remember the guy's name in that movie. It's
Sound of Freedom.
Yes, true story. He says we need the wall.
Oh yeah.
We need border control.
Yeah, no question.
Everything goes through the border. One of the kids in that movie that was like protected or like saved was found through the border. You know, he was going through the border. That's how they were able to catch the situation. So I mean, we need that.
Absolutely. I'll tell you exactly why the Democrats are completely obtuse towards having a strong border. It's because what they want to do and what they believe is that by promising all this prosperity from the government, and it's the Democrats that are giving all the illegal aliens all this money, and you can come in and we'll put you up at a 5-star hotel in New York for $300 a night paid to the taxpayers. And we'll give you debit cards. They call it the free money cards. And they give them thousands of dollars a month in order to addict them to money from the government and to get them to come here thinking that they're going to vote Democrat.
There's more to it, though. I just recently listened to a podcast on this. There's a reason why the Democrats want illegal aliens in our country, because most Democrats are crooked and they're rich and they can use the illegal aliens and pay them less. There was a person, and I'm trying to think of which I've listened to a lot. So there's been like Joe Rogan I've listened to Dr. Phil, I've listened to Dave Ramsey.
Did you see Dr. Phil yesterday at the Trump rally?
Yes.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it?
But
Finally.
It's one of them. It might have been Joe Rogan. I can't remember who it was, but that was exactly their reasoning why they said that the Democrats, that this is not being brought to light, that the Democrats lots of times have like their own, like their businesses and stuff, and that way they can pay people under the table and stuff to save themselves on taxes and everything else.
It's interesting because when I was growing up, they used to accuse the Republicans of being the ones that were doing that.
Yep. That's coming out. That's their big thing.
Well, so let's talk
again, I don't know for sure. I'll probably
Right.
get chastised
Just
for that.
our opinion.
This
Yeah,
is just
our
stuff that
opinion.
I've heard, but
And allegedly. But how much of that do you think? So you've seen all these Democrats and these celebrities and things at the P Diddy parties, and it was all they had. Every room was wired for cameras and sound, and then the Epstein stuff.
I think it was Elon Musk that actually said that about the Democrats. To be honest with
what Elon Musk has also said is there are some really rich people who really don't want that Epstein client list. And probably also that P. Diddy client list.
Oh, yeah.
How many? Because there's the pictures. Kamala Harris had been there, and all of these celebrities. And you see these celebrities that are saying, "Oh, I'm going to stay out of it for now," and they're not wanting to. But then all of a sudden they come out in like heavy support. And I'm wondering. I can't help wondering. Just my opinion. I can't help wondering. Is that because they've got some leverage on them? And
Probably.
there has to be. I
Probably.
think there's tremendous amounts of leverage on people in Hollywood. I mean, it's well talked about.
Yeah.
So how much of that is a lot of these celebrity endorsements that are coming out? Because I've also seen others where they're talking about Beyonce and who just came out and spoke as a mom for Kamala Harris at a Harris rally.
people need to go back and look into Beyonce and what all goes on in Beyonce's life.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff there that's not.
Oh, I've
very
seen some
good.
pretty satanic looking things that I've seen, and
Yep.
you know,
Jay-Z.
is it true? Is it true? I don't know. Hard to say.
Well, there's definitely an image of her with a Ouija board and all kinds of stuff around her that isn't like. I'm sorry, I don't play with stuff like that. That stuff's not coming in my house.
Yep.
I'm not bringing that in.
Yep.
You know, and I will say this, like, I can be pretty open about candidates and things like that. And like, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say I've never voted Democratic. I have. I have.
I have
But,
too.
I mean,
I have too.
I voted for Obama. I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't. But here's
Well,
the thing.
I fell for some of that Obama stuff myself.
You know what? And here's
I didn't at first, and then I did, and then I didn't again.
But the party is different than what it was in the 90s.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not the same. The party has gotten too far left for me.
Yeah.
Like I
well,
can't.
the left has left most of the Democrats.
Yeah. It's not not even there. I mean, the lady in Hawaii, she went on Trump's side. Did you hear about that?
Tulsi Gabbard, yeah, absolutely. I've seen a lot
I wish I
of
knew
with
their
her.
names better. But yeah, I was like listening. She's like, I can't.
Well, and Robert Kennedy.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy has come over, and you got to hand it to Trump. Trump has put himself together the dream team of, wow, really? You got all these people that are working together? What a uniter. That's
Right.
uniting. If only Operation Mockingbird media repeating everything in the media wasn't so against him. If they were honest about President Trump and not essentially the propaganda arm of the Democrat Party,
Right.
then this election would be very, very different. And so would the whole country. I think that the media is largely the enemy of the people.
Oh yeah. The media doesn't want us, like, they want to be in control and they want to be our voice. Like, and if people don't start waking up and realizing that haven't, you got some problems going on. And, you know, another thing, like, really, really irks me about her is when she was at a rally and someone yelled out, Jesus is king. And she was like, you're at the wrong rally. You should be down the street at a much smaller one. And da-da-da. And I was like,
Which is a lie, too. Her rallies, his rallies are 5 times bigger than her rallies.
did you see the one at Madison Square Garden last
Exactly.
night?
Exactly.
But then I'm like sitting there listening to her and I'm like, one, like, you basically just took my religious belief and you wadded it up and tossed it in the garbage. Like, I don't care if you're Jewish. Like, you can be Jewish. I don't care if you're Hindu or whatever. But, like, you're going to take my belief and make it out like it's a joke? Like, I'm sorry. I'm done.
So here is where I might give her some credit. This is the only thing that I think could possibly explain it to where she is not just a demon from hell. Is that all she heard was a heckler, not what the heckler said, and
Wow.
and therefore said you're at the wrong rally, as opposed to, but if her microphone picked it up, you know, could she have heard it? Or
people's cell phones picked it up. The person who talked about it, so Daniel watches this guy. He's a YouTuber. Andres, I think is his name. But anyway, he does like a lot of comic book and like Marvel movies. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he's kind of like middle of the road guy, but he is like, he's Trump. He's supporting Trump. But he had this girl, I was listening to this girl who said, hey, listen, I went to both rallies. Trump came in my town. I went to his. Kamala came. I went to hers. She picked it up on her cell phone, the guy yelling it. And then he was like, he goes, I have a lot of respect. She went to both. She listened to both points of view. But he was like, and this guy was like, look, I'm not really religious anymore. I was a Christian. I've kind of stepped away for a bit. But he was like, he heard it and he was like, oh man, did you just make the biggest mistake? You basically took all the Christian voters out there, and you can't tell me she didn't hear it, and you took the voters.
She must have.
And you basically just said, like, what you believe in doesn't matter. Like, I'm not sitting there saying because
she thinks that we're subjects. I mean, they want to tell us what to think.
Well, she doesn't even know what to say. Let's just be honest.
Oh yeah, even the Democrats now are starting to talk about word salad.
Well, she won't even do any live interviews. Do you know Joe Rogan invited her to his podcast? She didn't. She turned it down. Dave Ramsey invited her. She turned it down. She's been invited to the exact same stuff that Trump has been invited to, but Trump has went to and done it and has talked, freely off his mind about how he would. I mean, he's intelligent. You can tell he knows what he's talking about. And the sheer fact that she can't even answer the questions. And then Anderson Cooper asked her a question and she was like, oh yeah, she's just like, doesn't even answer the question or say anything. It's like, what the heck?
Exactly.
We just had Joe Biden this entire time, who, I'm sorry, hasn't said a word in his presidency. I don't even know what the guy has ever done.
Well, I don't think he's done anything.
Right, exactly.
Well, he did do some things. On his first day, he ruined a lot of the great things that Donald Trump did, like remain in Mexico. He invited a border invasion, got rid of our pipeline, and approved a Russian pipeline. We were sanctioning Russia, and the price of oil was low. Low oil benefits the United States and hurts Russia.
Right.
And what happened was Joe Biden allowed Russia to complete a pipeline that Donald Trump did not allow them to complete. And when they completed that pipeline, now Russia supplies Germany all this oil and energy. Then Joe Biden stopped our pipeline from going in. So it was a sanction to Russia to not let them have the pipeline that Donald Trump put in, the one that Russia loves. Mm-hmm. And then Joe Biden stops one of our pipelines. That's a sanction to whom? And then allows a pipeline to Russia to go through. Who's the one that's... Did he do it intentionally? Which one between Donald Trump and Joe Biden are the ones that... Which one's the one penalizing them? Like, oh, he's a Russian agent. Really? Are you sure that Joe Biden's not the Russian agent?
Yeah. Look at his son.
Well, even Bill Gates said that Ukraine is the most corrupt country in the world, and they're pumping all this money over there. Who do you think's getting rich? All these Ukrainian oligarchs.
Well, let's not also forget when they left all our military equipment.
Oh, that was... And there was a general, and Trump was talking about that, and the general said it's cheaper to leave it. $140 million airplane, it's cheaper to leave it there to let him keep it instead of like one tank of gas to fill up and fly it over to, Poland or something.
And they were like parading our stuff in their streets.
Oh, that's the worst part of it.
Yeah.
It adds insult to injury.
Exactly.
That was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen in American history. Mm-hmm. Joe Biden should go down as the worst president that we have ever had.
Well, and what is it Kamala Harris said, that there's nothing wrong with Joe Biden, that he's fine. And I'm like, well, then why are you running for president?
Exactly.
If he's fine, then why are you in that position?
Exactly.
Like, no.
Because she got so many votes in the primary. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait. No, she didn't get a single vote. The party of democracy, the one who is accusing Republicans of destroying democracy, ending democracy, has installed a candidate that got not one single vote in a primary and took out the candidate who got the votes in the primary. Who's the party of democracy? Do they know what that word means? Here's the rule that I've noticed. See what the Democrats are accusing the Republicans of doing, and that's what they're doing. And it doesn't work the other way around. They're projecting.
Well, see, I can sit here and say, like, I've always been somebody that has never voted for a party. Never voted for a party. I've always voted for who I felt was going to do the best job. And I trusted. Like, again, you got to remember, all these politicians are crooked. None of them are like honest, 100% honest.
I would think there's several, but they're in a real weird position and weird job on how they're influenced.
I would look at the people that aren't making tons of money off of stuff that's going on. The ones that are in positions that they're not over there getting rich. Yeah. I would look at them and go, okay, yeah, that person's probably doing the job. Like, I can sit here and look at Donald Trump and the fact that he didn't take a paycheck the whole time he was a president. Like, he took that job to make our country better. He didn't take that job to become rich or to be, I don't even think he took the job to be more powerful. People might think that. I think he took the job because he saw something completely broken and was like, you know what? I can fix this. And I have a lot of respect for that. For someone that can sit there and say, you know what, let me fix that.
He's the only politician up there that it cost money for him to become a politician. As opposed to, look at Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden. How did they get all of that money? I mean, you'd have to be the most brilliant investor.
They got rich off lobbyists. They're over there saying, yes,
well, Nancy Pelosi, in my opinion, is inside trading.
Oh, I'm sure.
There are stock traders that follow Nancy Pelosi's portfolio, and when she buys something, they buy it.
Yeah.
Because of the Pelosi effect. So, all of this leads us to, please go out and vote, and we're going to be live on the election. Watch it with us. We're going to keep going with this. We're going to report. Don't turn on NBC, ABC, the liberal media. Internet, real people media is what you need in your life.
Stay away from CNN.
Yeah. And you can get that here. Yeah. We're going to provide that to you. And please tune in with us. We're putting in so much work between now and then on pulling this off and making this a great show for you. And we're going to put out a good product for you this year. And then, I can only imagine in 4 years it's going to be off the charts. But
I will say this. I'm sure most of the people that are listening in or watching us, I mean, you have definitely been impacted by our economy. If you haven't been impacted by inflation, I don't know how you couldn't have been, because inflation is insane right now. Just everything that we've had to deal with in the last 4 years of how much stuff has gone up, how more expensive everything is. I mean, you can't even go to the grocery store without dropping $2,000. If you're a family and you got four people, like, I can legitimately say I'm a family of 4. We're probably spending about $2,000 a month in food. That's insane. I can sit there and tell you that I bought my daughter snacks for her class. I could compare to 2 years ago or even 3 years ago when I bought them, and the price was triple the amount. Like, this is insane, and we have to do something about it, because people cannot survive this if it continues to go this way. Everybody wanted raises. Everybody wanted the unemployment rate to go up, but they wanted companies to increase wages. But what ended up happening is everybody got wage increases. But what happened to that product? That product went up 3 times the amount.
There's a lot of different problems with a lot of different things.
And there's a lot of people suffering.
Exactly. And what we need is, the solution to all that is a strong economy. And the solution to us paying off this crippling debt that we're in, the debt payment now exceeds our military budget. Just paying on debt. That this country didn't used to have debt. And by the way, did you know that this country didn't even have income taxes? About 100 years ago, no income tax. We paid, and we had a surplus budget because of tariffs, because countries want to trade with us. and take away jobs from American workers, well, then they're going to have to pay a price for that. And that's how the entire government was funded. They didn't used to have to take money from us.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. And what's happening now is the same thing that ruins every major great country is debt. Mm-hmm. And that's why we talk about things like debt and your personal finances. Well, thank God we can have a president that will go in there and understands that. You know, we had effectively no inflation during Donald Trump. Why? Because the economy was kicking and he reduced taxes. And when you take tax out of the system, then the economy thrives and money comes to you multiple times. And that money for your higher wages is there because the machine is going. It's like a car. The money in it is the gas. And when your fuel prices are low and you can run the economy, then all of a sudden they need labor and there's more money to pay for the labor because we're outputting more goods. Because when you output more goods and more services, then more people get what it is that they want. The economy works correctly. That's what you need. That's what we need. And we need a strong economy. And you know who was able to do that? The 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump.
Well, he just went into a barbershop. I don't know if you saw that one where he was in the Bronx and went into the barbershop and was talking to these guys. And this one man was like, I'm on the verge of losing everything. And I was not with you as a president. When you were president, I was like thriving. And now I'm about to lose it all. And he's like, I need to change this. We need to change so bad. And it's just really sad to hear people talk about their businesses and how they're about to lose them because of everything that's going on and they can't survive it. And that's scary. You know, that's not what people should be having to sit here and fight for. They should be, you know, you shouldn't have to work so hard to try to save something that they love and that they work so hard to get to. And it's just, I don't know, breaks my heart when I hear those stories. And it's impacting so many people. And I don't know. We need something.
Hopefully we're going to get that something, and we are going to provide that to you on the Lawyer Dana Show. Tune in. We're going live on election night right here at the Lawyer Dana Podcast. See you soon.
Bye.